Welcome back to Daily Harmony, everyone. So today we are going deep into Lesson 117 from A Course in Miracles. And,
This one is sort of unique in a way.
Yeah.
It's a review.
it is.
It's bringing together a couple of core ideas from earlier lessons,
Exactly.
which are really key to the whole system of thought in the course.
Totally.
We're going to be looking at Lesson 103, which is God being love is also happiness.
Right.
And Lesson 104, I seek but what belongs to me in truth.
Why would,
So what we're really talking about is happiness.
yeah. Where does it come from?
Like, where does that deep, kind of lasting sense of joy come from? And also,
Yeah.
what are our deepest desires really pointing us towards?
I like that. It's like, what are we truly seeking when we think we're seeking all these other things?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We've got the main lesson from the workbook for students, Lesson 117 itself.
Right.
And we have some really insightful briefing and study guide materials that unpack these concepts
Yeah.
in more detail.
Yeah. These are really good.
Yeah. What we're going to do today is synthesize all of that for you.
Right.
To kind of extract the essential wisdom and offer you a clear and insightful perspective so that you can take something away from this.
Yeah. Love that.
Okay, so let's jump into it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
The first core idea. God being love is also happiness.
Okay.
What stands out to you about that statement based on the materials we have?
Well, I think what stands out is that it's presented as like a fundamental truth,
Yeah.
not just a nice idea.
Not just a feel-good sentiment.
Right. Like it's almost an equation.
Yeah.
Happiness equals love.
Right.
When we're talking about this kind of divine love
Yeah.
that the Course talks about.
Exactly. The materials emphasize this inherent connection.
Right.
It's not that God gives love and also gives happiness as two separate things. It's
Yeah.
that love is happiness
Right.
in its purest form.
Yes. And I think that's so important to remember because, you know, we go about our daily lives and we think that happiness is this thing that you get from outside.
Yeah.
You know, buying something or achieving some goal or, you know, getting someone to say like, you're good.
Exactly. And we're bombarded with that message constantly.
Okay, yeah.
From media, from advertising.
Everywhere.
That happiness is going to come from having the right things or the right experiences.
Absolutely. And the Course is really turning that on its head.
Yeah.
By saying, you know, happiness is not this fluctuating thing that comes and goes based on whether things are going your way.
Exactly.
It's this deeper sense of alignment with something much bigger.
Right. And with that idea of love as this kind of foundational energy,
Yes.
I'd love for you to think for a minute about times when you felt truly happy,
Okay.
a really deep sense of joy.
Okay.
Was it tied to something external, something that eventually went away? Or was it something that felt more internal?
Okay.
More like a sense of peace or connection?
Well, I'm thinking back on, you know, times when I've been really excited about something I've achieved or, you know, gotten something new. That excitement, it's intense, but it doesn't last.
Right.
But then there are these other times when I feel a kind of quiet happiness, like spending time with people I love,
Yeah.
or feeling like I'm doing something meaningful.
Yeah.
That happiness feels different.
Exactly. And that's what the sources point to.
Okay.
They point to that deeper, more resonant feeling
Right.
as a glimpse of the inherent happiness that's intertwined with love.
I like that.
So that's the first part.
Okay.
Now let's explore the second part.
Okay.
I seek but what belongs to me in truth.
But
What's the core message you get from that?
well, the way I see it is that it's saying that our deepest longings,
Yeah.
they're not actually for things outside ourselves, but for something that's already ours.
Okay.
Like it's our birthright,
Right.
our true spiritual identity,
Yeah.
and the peace and joy that comes with that.
It's like we're not seeking something new.
Yeah.
We're remembering something we already have.
That's a great way to put it.
And the materials highlight that our fundamental desire isn't wrong.
Right.
It's just often misdirected
Right.
by what the Course calls the ego.
Okay.
The part of us that believes in separation
Right.
and lack and limitation.
Okay.
The ego misinterprets this innate longing.
Right.
It convinces us that we need to find fulfillment out there in the world, in things that can never really satisfy.
Right.
That deep yearning.
Like we're looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
For something that we already have.
It's like you're looking for your keys in the living room,
Yeah.
but they're actually in your purse
Why
the
they-
whole time.
Yeah.
So have you ever experienced that?
I think we all have.
Where you crave something so intensely,
Yeah.
like a relationship or a certain achievement, and you think, if I could just have that, then I would finally be happy.
Oh, yeah.
And then even if you get it,
Right.
there's still this sense of,
Like something's missing.
yeah, something's not quite right.
Yeah.
The Course suggests that that's because you were seeking something you already possess in truth,
Right.
but you were looking for it in an illusion.
In the form of a thing or a person.
Yes, in the form of something outside of yourself.
Right.
And the ego loves to keep us on that hamster wheel of external seeking, promising satisfaction just around the corner.
Right. But it's never really there.
And never quite delivering.
Right.
So, okay, we've got these two core ideas. True happiness is rooted in love, and our deepest seeking is for something we already have, this inherent joy and peace.
So the big question is, how do we tap into that?
Yeah. How do we connect with that truth?
What are the practical things we could do?
Well, the materials give us some concrete tools.
Okay, good, because I think that's what people really want to know.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Let
okay,
me
guys,
sell it.
this all sounds nice, but what do I actually do?
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing they emphasize is the power of affirmation.
Okay.
They specifically suggest starting your day by stating, I am one with love, and that is my source of happiness. I like that.
It's like setting an intention for the day.
Right.
Reminding yourself of where your true foundation lies.
Rather than waking up and immediately thinking, oh my God, I have to do all these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shifting your focus to that deeper truth.
Okay, so affirmation, that's one tool.
Yes.
What else do they recommend?
Another practice they highlight is mindful reflection.
Okay.
Taking moments throughout the day to check in with yourself, especially when you find yourself seeking happiness externally.
Okay.
Like you're really craving that new gadget or you're feeling jealous of someone else's success.
Right.
Ask yourself, what am I really hoping to gain from this?
Okay.
Is this a true need?
Right.
Or am I trying to fill some kind of void?
Yeah.
This kind of self-awareness helps you identify those ego-driven patterns.
Right. So just bringing some consciousness to our desires.
Exactly.
And where they're coming from.
And where we're placing our hopes for happiness. Yeah, because sometimes I think we can get so caught up in thinking that if we just get this one thing, then everything will be fine.
Exactly.
And that's what the Corden is saying isn't really true.
Right. It's an illusion.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about affirmation. We've talked about mindful reflection. Another practice the materials emphasize is acts of kindness
Well, that's nice.
and forgiveness.
Okay.
So when you extend love and compassion to others, you're not only benefiting them, you're aligning yourself with that core principle of love that we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Forgiveness in this context is about releasing any judgments or resentments that are blocking your awareness of that love.
Love for yourself and love for others.
Yes, exactly.
It's like those acts of kindness and forgiveness create a clear channel for that inner happiness to flow through.
Precisely.
Okay, so now we're getting into the really practical stuff. Tell me about this meditation on love that the materials recommend.
Yeah, so this is a beautiful practice.
Okay.
Find a quiet place where you can be undisturbed for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
And just gently bring your focus to the idea that God is love.
Okay.
Now, it's important to remember you don't have to have any specific religious beliefs to connect with this.
Right. It's more about the concept of universal love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just a pure, unconditional love.
Okay.
A source of positivity and connection.
I like that.
So you're focusing on that idea.
Okay.
And then visualize that love surrounding you.
Okay.
Like a warm, radiant light. Or a gentle, comforting embrace.
Yeah.
Whatever image resonates for you.
Right.
And then imagine that love filling you.
Okay.
Permeating every cell of your being with happiness and peace.
Now, are we supposed to like force ourselves to feel those things?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's not about forcing a feeling. It's about gently directing your attention and allowing whatever feelings arise to be present without judgment.
So just being open to whatever comes up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the materials suggest that if you practice this meditation regularly, it can help you develop a direct experience of that link between love and joy.
Okay, so it's about moving from just intellectually understanding it to actually feeling it.
Exactly.
I like that.
So we've been talking about these lessons in isolation, but they're not really isolated ideas.
Right, they're part of a larger system.
Exactly.
So how do these teachings about love and seeking fit into the bigger picture of A Course in Miracles?
Well, they reinforce some of the core principles of the Course.
Okay.
Like the idea that the reality we perceive with our senses is an illusion. It's a distorted perception of a deeper reality, which is
love. Okay.
So what we see as problems and lack and suffering in the world, Those are misinterpretations.
Of this underlying reality
Exactly.
of love.
Yes. And these lessons also emphasize that our true identity isn't this limited, ego-driven self
Right.
that feels separate and vulnerable.
Yeah, like we are not just our bodies
Right.
or our thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our true nature is spiritual.
Okay.
It's connected to that source of love,
Right.
and therefore it's inherently whole and worthy
And happy.
and happy.
I like that.
It's a big shift in perspective.
Yeah.
From thinking that our well-being depends on external factors
Right.
to recognizing our own inherent wholeness.
Right.
And the concept of forgiveness that we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
that's a big part of this too, because
Okay.
when we forgive,
Yeah.
we're letting go of the judgments and grievances
Right.
that cloud our perception
Yeah.
of that love.
Of that inherent love.
Yes.
Okay.
So it all comes back to shifting our focus inward
Right.
and recognizing that source of happiness within.
Okay.
The materials offer a really helpful reflection question.
Okay. What is it?
In what ways do I seek happiness outside of myself? And how can I shift my focus to recognize that true happiness comes from my connection to love?
I love that question.
It's powerful.
Because it's not saying that we can't enjoy things in the world.
Right.
You know, a beautiful sunset
Of course.
or a good meal.
Absolutely.
But it's saying that our fundamental sense of well-being
Yeah.
doesn't come from those
It
things.
comes from something deeper.
Right.
And when we recognize that,
Yeah.
it can be incredibly freeing.
It is, because it frees us from that constant chase
Exactly.
for the next thing.
It's not about getting rid of desire.
Right.
It's about understanding the source of true fulfillment.
Like that.
So much wisdom in these lessons.
There really is.
It's amazing how two simple statements can unlock so much insight.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I love how practical the advice is.
Yeah.
Like things you can actually do.
Right. These aren't just abstract concepts.
Right. It's about changing our everyday experience.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us today for this deep dive into Lesson 117 from A Course in Miracles.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Yeah, and we hope that you found it helpful and insightful.
We encourage you to spend some time reflecting on that question.
Yeah, that question's really good.
In what ways do I seek happiness outside of myself? And how can I shift my focus to recognize that true happiness comes from my connection to love?
Yeah. Take some time with that.
And see what comes up for you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to Daily Harmony.
And we'll be back tomorrow with another exploration.
See you then.